So James Gunn and Peter Safran have scrapped all those DC Elseworlds movie ideas for the big DC Universe Chapter 1 known as Gods and Monsters. But what about Christopher Nolan's Batman? Well, it turns out Christopher Nolan's brother is keen to come back for The Dark Knight 4, calling it a dream. And Christian Bale, he's already laid down his one condition to return for The Dark Knight 4. So what's the deal with Christopher Nolan's Batman? Are we getting it in 2025? Let's dive into all the details about the movie. Jonathan Nolan, the brother of Christopher and a writer of all three films of the Dark Knight trilogy, expressed his openness to returning for The Dark Knight 4 in the future. Despite the seemingly conclusive ending to Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne in 2012's The Dark Knight Rises, Jonathan Nolan is still enthusiastic about exploring new stories within the Batman universe. In an interview with Shosha, Jonathan Nolan shared that returning to the Dark Knight trilogy would be a dream scenario for him. Meanwhile, Christian Bale, speaking to Screen Rant, disclosed that he would consider returning for a new Batman movie if Christopher Nolan were directing. However, there are no indications that the director intends to helm another superhero film. Nevertheless, the enduring popularity and critical acclaim of the Dark Knight trilogy keep the possibility of future stories in that universe alive for DC. Regarding the potential storyline for The Dark Knight 4, while Christopher Nolan never outlined specific plans for a fourth film, clues from The Dark Knight Rises suggest a direction it could take. The film hinted at Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, John Blake, taking on the mantle of Batman. With the revelation that Blake's birth name was Robin John Blake, there's a clear connection to Batman's sidekick, Robin. The passage of time since the film's release could allow for exploring Blake as a seasoned superhero, possibly even taking up the Batman persona.
I killed those people. That's what I can be.
No, you can't. You're not.
I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be.
While Gordon-Levitt's character could potentially become the new Batman, it's difficult to imagine The Dark Knight 4 without Bale's involvement. With Jonathan Nolan expressing interest in returning to the franchise, and Bale indicating his willingness to do the same under Christopher Nolan's direction, the prospect of another Batman film remains on the table. Despite Bruce Wayne's retirement in The Dark Knight Rises, the enduring allure of the Batman character could serve as the central focus of a new installment. With that being said, Christian Bale's potential return for The Dark Knight 4 comes with a condition, but he's not the only one connected to the Batman franchise to express interest in a comeback. Bale, who portrayed Bruce Wayne in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, emerged as a standout among other contenders like Cillian Murphy and Jake Gyllenhaal. His portrayal of Batman solidified his status as one of the finest live-action renditions of the character. Bale's performance was complemented by exceptional villains and supporting cast members. Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker stands out as one of the most iconic performances in cinematic history, earning him a posthumous Best Supporting Actor Oscar. With such remarkable talent involved, and Nolan's Batman films enjoying both fan adoration and critical acclaim, the desire for a fourth installment in the Dark Knight series has always been present. Recently, there has been hopeful news about the possibility of The Dark Knight 4, with Bale expressing his willingness to return under certain conditions. Christian Bale has expressed willingness to reprise the role for The Dark Knight 4 under one condition. His last appearance as Batman was in 2012's The Dark Knight Rises, which provided a fitting conclusion to his character's arc as he bid farewell to his vigilante persona and embarked on a new life with Catwoman, played by Anne Hathaway. Despite the definitive conclusion of the Dark Knight trilogy, Bale remains open to returning as Batman, but only if Christopher Nolan, the visionary director behind the trilogy, is involved. Bale's condition is clear. If Chris Nolan ever said to himself, "You know what, I've got another story to tell, and if he wished to tell that story with me, I'd be in," he told Screen Rant. It's worth noting that Bale and Nolan had originally planned for just 3 films in the Batman saga. Bale's insistence on Nolan's participation stems from the collaborative magic they created together, alongside the rest of the cast and crew, which elevated the Dark Knight trilogy to iconic status. At 50 years old, Bale still has the potential for another captivating performance as Batman, as evidenced by his recent role in Marvel Studios' Thor: Love and Thunder, indicating his continued openness to superhero genre projects. Despite Christopher Nolan's firm stance against directing another superhero movie after his Batman trilogy, there remains a glimmer of hope for The Dark Knight 4. While Nolan has unequivocally stated his disinterest in helming new superhero projects, his brother Jonathan Nolan has expressed enthusiasm for a potential return to the Batman franchise. Jonathan, who played a pivotal role as a writer in all 3 films of the trilogy, recently described the prospect of returning to the Batman universe as a dream. Jonathan Nolan's involvement could catalyze reigniting interest in The Dark Knight 4. With a successful track record that includes acclaimed projects like the TV series Westworld and his work on the Fallout video game series, Jonathan's influence could potentially sway Christopher to reconsider his stance. Even if Christopher opts out of directing, he could entrust the Batman legacy to his brother, paving the way for a new chapter in the Dark Knight saga. Such a scenario might just be the key to bringing Christian Bale back to reprise his iconic role as the Caped Crusader. The potential for The Dark Knight 4 is tantalizing, with 2 compelling storylines emerging for the Batman film. One possibility stems from The Dark Knight Rises' conclusion, which sees Bruce Wayne retiring from his Batman persona and beginning a new life with Selina Kyle in Italy. The 4th installment could witness Bruce's return to Gotham, albeit not as Batman. Instead, the film could explore a Batman Beyond adaptation, with an older Bruce Wayne mentoring a new hero, Terry McGinnis. Alternatively, The Dark Knight 4 could pivot to focus on Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, John Blake, who is revealed to have the full name Robin John Blake. This revelation hints at Blake's potential as Bruce Wayne's successor and the next Batman. The film could delve into Blake's journey as he assumes the mantle of Batman and navigates Gotham's criminal underworld. However, the likelihood of The Dark Knight 4 materializing remains uncertain. Christopher Nolan's reluctance to direct another superhero movie and Christian Bale's condition to return only if Nolan is involved present significant obstacles. While Jonathan Nolan's expressed interest could inject new life into the project, the absence of key creative forces could dampen fan enthusiasm. The Batman cinematic landscape is already crowded, with Robert Pattinson's portrayal in The Batman and another interpretation in James Gunn's DC Universe. The proliferation of live-action Batmen may diminish the demand for yet another iteration, further diminishing the prospects of The Dark Knight 4 coming to fruition. Given these challenges, The Dark Knight 4 faces an uphill battle to become a reality. While fans may clamor for another installment in the beloved franchise, the absence of key players like Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale could dampen enthusiasm. However, the allure of exploring new narratives within the Batman universe, whether through a Batman Beyond adaptation or by focusing on Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, offers tantalizing possibilities for the franchise's future. Ultimately, whether The Dark Knight 4 ever sees the light of day will depend on a multitude of factors, including the willingness of key creatives to return, the demand from audiences, and the broader direction of the DC cinematic universe. While the odds may seem stacked against it, the enduring popularity of the Dark Knight trilogy and the rich storytelling potential of Gotham's Caped Crusader ensure that fans will continue to hold out hope for the possibility of another thrilling chapter in Batman's cinematic saga. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.